This is really hard to talk about, and it's embarrassing, but there was no turning back. So, I'm sure you've all noticed that I don't use note cards. I can't read. According to the NLS, which is, a branch of the Library of Congress, Braille is the best medium for blind people and literacy. But I am not alone. In fact, I'm a part of a majority of blind people who are underserved in this way. So that's what I'm talking about today. First, we are going to talk about the problem itself, look at some of the scope of it. From there, I'm going to, just talk about the environment that created this problem, which is very personal, but it could matter to all of you as undergraduate students, perhaps thinking about what your postgraduate life is going to be. Okay. So, and then on to the third point, what can we do? How do we affect this problem? Let's see. Okay. So, a mere 8.5% of blind kids are being taught Braille and are literate as Braille readers. This is according to the American Printing House for the Blind. Now, the other way to look at that figure is that 55,000 blind kids aren't being taught to read Braille, or they're being taught in a very minimally, which is how I was taught. This despite the fact that Braille has been accepted and has been disseminated throughout the world as like a really functional, diverse code for reading for 150 years. That's Kimbrough 2014 that asserts that. So what's one side effect of this really low literacy rate among blind children and blind adults then, by extension, is extremely high unemployment. This correlation is starting to be teased out in a study by Bell and Minnow in 2013. 67% unemployment among blind people. There's a lot of blind people sitting on couches. It's comfortable, but. So, I derailed myself with that. Side effect. On to the second point. How did this happen? So in an article from nfb.org, it was actually a chapter out of a book entitled Read, 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 they point to one very basic fact, which is that sighted kids, most of the world, starts to learn print and get into literacy just through absorption, because it's on stop signs and on your underwear and everywhere. Printed material. It's just, it seeps in. The same is not true of Braille. And people don't go around the world touching the elevator to find the Braille, or you don't, that's not how we operate. So you're going to miss it even if it is in your environment. It was a meta-analysis actually done by the Northern Colorado University, where they talk about a shift in educational style in the 1960s. So basically there was an emphasis on kids using whatever residual vision they had, rather than utilizing and developing skills of blindness, as they call them. So there was a shift that happened in the 60s, which has kind of generated all the illiterate blind people that there are today. So what can we do about it? Here's where you all come in. Basically it's going to take education. A big article that I went through laboriously, generated by the Jernigan Institute in 2009, talked about, it's just people need to understand, first off, the importance of literacy. I mean, we all know, we're all in college, but literacy, reading, whether by touch or by sight is different than listening. And so there are a lot of cognitive benefits that will come through actual reading. So that's one of the myths, or not myths, but that's a piece of information that needs to be disseminated. And we need more teachers. That's where this is where you guys come in. You know, I will feel like this speech was successful if one of you, when considering your postgraduate work, thinks like you could affect, you know, 12 kids' lives by teaching them to read, like really read. So just to wrap it up, we looked at the problem itself, low, extremely low Braille literacy among blind people. We looked at the environment that created that problem and what we can do about it. Teach kids to read. So what, you know, I'm going to end with a quote. Oh, I forgot about my PowerPoints. Sorry, guys. Whoa, they were really great, I promise. All right, so I'm gonna end with a quote from that ever-utilized, you know, disability superhero Helen Keller, and she says, this was circa 1929. She says, "More than at any other time, when I hold a beloved book in my hand, my limitations fall from me, my spirit is free."